Hey everybody, welcome to Frannie's Square. Today we're going to be making some quick and easy mittens. Okay, so I moved to Pennsylvania and I thought it's not going to be nearly as cold as Lake George, but it is. It's cold. And I realized pretty quickly that I need a new pair of mittens. So I decided to make a pair of mittens the way that I love to make them. And as you know, I'm really big about make it your own. So what I'm going to show you here is how you can make mittens using any yarn you like, any hook you like, and making it to fit your hand. So it's not going to be an exact pattern with a number of stitches, but I'm going to show you how to make a mitten that fits your hand so that you'll never need instructions. My recommendation when you're doing this is when you make your first mitten, just write down your numbers. So when you go to make the second mitten, you'll have your own pattern for that mitten. Now I made a few different mittens. I like to use wool blend yarns because I like my mittens to be warmer. I also like to use just a simple single crochet because I feel it gives me a tighter weave, and that way I have a warmer mitten. And that's what mittens are all about for me, keeping my hands warm. So I used this yarn that I had gotten from Little Knits, and I would say that this yarn is probably a 4 or 5 weight yarn, and I use single crochets, as you can see, and it's a variegated yarn, and I'll show you how I made this. For this one, I made the ribbing shorter. I play with it. By the way, I used a 4.5 millimeter hook for this mitten. For this mitten, I used Lion Brand's Woolies Thick and Quick because I wanted it to go quickly. It also has wool in it and it's nice and warm. And I used a size 8 hook and went longer with my ribbing, and I figured I could either roll it up or put it underneath my coat. And I liked it, and let me just show you. But with the 8 hook, I felt like more air gets through. I mean, it's still a warm mitten, don't get me wrong. But then I moved using the same yarn to a size 6 millimeter hook and got a nice tight weave. And I went a little shorter with the ribbing on this one. This is the one that I actually filmed, so you'll see this mitten being made. I love it, it's warm, it fits really nicely around my hand, and I love these colors. So this is the mitten I'll be making. You can make your mitten out of any yarn you like, any hook size you like. Just remember, the bigger the hook size, the bigger your holes. The smaller the hook size, the tighter your weave. So grab some yarn, grab your hook, and let's get started and make some mittens. Oh, and by the way, you can make these mittens in an hour or 2. It's so quick and so easy. All right, now grab your stuff. Let's go. Okay, so for these mittens, I'm using some leftover yarn I had from my pumpkins this Thanksgiving. This is Woolies Thick and Quick, and I believe the color is called Coney Island, but I'll put a link in the description below. And I have about 1.5 of these balls left. I might even have some more in my scraps. I'm using a size 6 hook and a yarn needle, and I have better yarn needles for this yarn, but they're still packed away, so I'm going to just try to work with this. I know I had people send me better yarn needles, so as soon as I unpack them, I'll be able to use them. All right, so we're just going to get started with making the ribbing for the bottom of the mitten. Now I'm going to give you the measurements that I used for my mitten, but this is so easy to change up for you. So this first part is going to be the ribbing, and some people like the ribbing longer or shorter, some like to fold it up. So depending on the length you want, you may want to make this, add extra chains, make it longer or shorter. I'm going to start with 11 chains, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so that's 11 chains. It's going to make 10 stitches, and I just basically hold it up to my wrist and say, yeah, that's pretty good for my ribbing. I like that length. So you can do the same thing. Next, In the second chain from the hook, we're going to do a single crochet into that chain. And a single crochet, you simply stick your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 on your hook, yarn over and pull through both. Okay, and we're going to just continue that all the way to the end. And if you started with 11 chains like I did, you should end up with 10 stitches. And just check, make sure I got 10 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And next I'm going to single crochet into the back loop only. So you see you have a back loop and a front loop, that V there. Instead of going under both like I normally would, I'm just going to go under that back loop and do a single crochet. Yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 2 on my hook, yarn over and pull through both. I'm going to do that all the way down, and what that will do is it'll leave your front loop hanging out and it'll create a ribbing look. And basically we're going to be doing this back and forth until this piece fits around our wrist fairly snugly. I like mine snug so it keeps my hands warm. And remember, ribbing stretches, so you don't want to make it too loose. Okay, so there is my next row. Okay, so that was my second row of single crochets. And now I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to go back and forth until I have enough rows to fit around my wrist. And I'll let you know how many rows that is for me. But I have fairly small hands and wrists, so keep that in mind when you're making yours. I really love using the Woolies Thick and Quick because it goes so quickly. I can make a pair of mittens in no time. And it keeps my hands nice and warm because it does have some wool in it and it's not itchy. So I like that too. Okay, I'm going to continue doing that until it fits around my wrist, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I've done 16 rows here, and if you look, I put it around my wrist, and it just fits, and that's the way I like it. So you can figure out if you want more rows than that, or if 16 works for you. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I keep my hook on the closer side to me when I do this. And I just want to put these together. All right, so now I'm going to just slip stitch these together. I'm going to do it with the inner loops. So I'm going to do it with the back loop of the front row and the front loop of the back row. Just line these up. Stepping on my yarn. Okay, so I'm going to go into that back loop and the front loop here. There we go. And just pull through both loops and then the one on your hook. So all three, so you're slip stitching. Okay, for the next one, just like that, pull through. And again, the next one, just keep them lined up, going in through the back loop and in through the front loop. And I'm just going to do that all the way down. And slip stitch this together. The reason I'm only using one loop on each side is I don't want it to be too bulky. With a thinner yarn, I might just do the whole stitch. But with this yarn, I don't want it to be too thick. That's also why I'm slip stitching rather than making a single crochet. Just keeps it thinner. Go. And the last one on each side. Last one's always the hard one to get. There we go, and now we have our ribbing. You can try it on. Let me just pull this out. Make sure it goes on nicely. That fits me nice. That's the way I like it. Nice and tight. Not too tight, but snug, so it'll keep in the warmth. Okay. I like to work so the inside's facing me. I'm just going to lay this tail down and I'm going to go over it. I'm going to make a single crochet around the top. Now I know that I have 16 rows, so I'm going to just go for 16 stitches. A stitch at the top of each row. So first, I'm just going to stitch that together so it's nice all the way up. And now I'll start making single crochets. So I'll go in, and you're just going to try to do it at the top of each row and count your stitches so you have the number per row. It doesn't have to be exact. So this is 2, 3, and I'm just going over the tail. 4, and I can cut that little tail off now. Okay, so that's 16 stitches, and I'm back to the beginning, so I'm just going to slip knot those together. And again, I'm going to just try it on, make sure, yeah, that's going to be nice. And I'm going to cut off this little tail. There we go. All right. Okay. Now the easy part. We're going to start going around and doing single crochets. So this is my first stitch. I'm going to go into my next stitch. I'm just going under and doing a regular single crochet. Just wanted to mention, as you work, make sure you're always going the same direction. I always have the inside of the work facing me instead of doing it this way. Totally up to you, but this is how I remember that I'm still going in the right direction. Okay, so I'm just going to stop here a second and see how this is fitting. And this is how I like it. I like my mittens snug and warm, so totally up to you. If you need a bigger size, just use more stitches going around, but this is really how I like it. And it's up to the bottom of my thumb now. So what I want to do is start creating my thumb hole. Okay, so let me get this back in. For my thumb hole, what I'm going to do is chain. I'm going to start with a chain of 6. 3, and this depends on the yarn you're using, your thumb size, but it doesn't matter because you're going to just fit it into your own thumb. Let me get my hook back in here. There we go. So if I have it here, I want it to come around to the other side now. That would make it, but it's a little on the tight side. So I'm going to add another chain to that and see if I can do it with my hand still in here. There we go. Yeah, that's feeling pretty good. Now I'm going to want to attach it to this stitch here, which is, I'm in this stitch here, so it's 1, 2, 3 stitches away. I think I'm gonna move over to the 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 stitches. So then what I'll do is, here I am in this stitch, 1, 2, 3, into the 4th stitch. I'm gonna go, and I'm going to slip stitch that together. And then I will go to the next stitch and do a single crochet again. Now I just want to make sure that that thumb hole fits. Just make that bigger. I'm going to stick my hand in again. Now's the time to make sure. Yeah, and that feels pretty good to me. So you want to make sure you have enough room, but not too much. And I think that's perfect. All right. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue around, single crocheting, and I'll show you what we do when we get back to that thumb hole. This is so quick. Make a pair of mittens in the morning. Wear them out that day. I love that. Immediate gratification. What could be better? Okay. Now I'm getting to the thumb hole. So I have this stitch still. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a single crochet in each of the chains. Of my thumb hole that I created, leaving that hole open and just working around it. There we go. Okay, I've gone down and now I'm just going to go into my next single crochet and continue working around. You can see here, we've created our thumb hole, and now we're just continuing. I'm going to continue a little bit more, and then I'll show you where we're going to stop next. Could this mitten be any easier? It makes such a nice warm pair of mittens. I love these colors too, so pretty. When I was making the pumpkins with this yarn, I was like, wow, I gotta do something wearable out of that. Okay, here I go around the thumb hole again. And I just go up and around doing single crochets into my last row. And you can see how easy this is. There we go. Just keep going around and around. So now let me show you where we're going to continue to. Okay, so now that I've gone around the thumb and I have my thumb hole, what happens next with your hand, if you look, is your hand goes from this wide to this wide. It's narrower. So I'm going to need to decrease a few stitches, because if I keep going this way, I'm going to end up with it being too big around this part. So what I'm going to do from this point is I'm just going to decrease a few stitches. I'll start out with 2. So to decrease, I'm going to go into 1 stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3, and that turns 2 stitches into 1. Then I'll continue around doing my single crochets. Then when I get about halfway around, I'm going to do another decrease on the other side, just to kind of spread them out. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to do a decrease, go into 1, pull up the loop, go into the next, pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3, and then continue. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just want to try this size on, see how it fits, and see if I need to decrease anymore. Okay, that's actually feeling pretty good. You see how it came in? Before there was like a big gap. Now it's come in some. I could probably even decrease 1 more. I like my mittens snug. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Just feel it and go with what you like. I think I'm going to do a few more stitches, then I'll do 1 more decrease and try it on. That's the beauty of this. You're really going by how it fits you. Here, I'll do my decrease right here. 3 on my hook, go through all 3. And I'm trying to stress to you to make it your own, make it fit you. You don't need to go by exact patterns. In the beginning, it's really great. But then as you learn and things make sense, you have so much more freedom if you understand what you're doing. And that's really my goal here. Okay, I'm going to try this on again. You can see I end up doing a lot of try-ons. The knot in this yarn, look at that, came with a knot in it. I hate when that happens. Just pull it through. There we go. It's rather annoying. All right, let me try this on. Yeah, like the way that feels. So that's what I'm gonna go with. All right, now we're gonna just continue up, keep going around and around till you get to about where these are poking out, just these 3 fingers. Then we're gonna start decreasing to create our top. And I'll meet you back here. Okay, so now you can see I just have my 3 fingers sticking out. I still haven't done my thumb yet, that's last. And now what I'm going to start to do is decrease so I create the top of my mitten. So to do that, and again, I'm always making sure that the inside of the mitten is facing me because that's the direction I work in. To do that, every 4th stitch I'm going to decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and on my 4th one, I'm going to do a decrease. I'm going to go into the stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. I have 3 on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then I'll do that again. So I'm going to go 1 single, 2 singles, 3, and then a decrease. Go in, decrease over the next 2 stitches. And I'm going to keep doing that around. It's going to get smaller and smaller as I go. And I do try it on as I go to see if it's decreasing at the right rate, or if I want to speed it up, I'll do a decrease every 3rd stitch. If I want to slow it down, I might skip a row or 2. Really, just to make sure it's fitting me the way I like it. Okay, after this one, I'm going to just take a look and see how the decreasing's going. Yeah, it's starting to decrease. See, it's going to start coming around the top. So I'm going to continue that for a little bit more. This is my 2nd single crochet. And now I'm going to do another decrease. And as you decrease the number of stitches, your mitten begins to close. You can see my hole is getting smaller and smaller. See how this is fitting. It's looking really good. I'm probably going to do one more round, and then I'm going to show you how I completely close it off. Is looking pretty good. All right, now I'll try it on just to make sure I'm ready to close it up. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so to close it up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over and pull through as if to chain, and I'm going to cut a pretty long piece because I'm going to use it to sew up the top. See, you want a long tail. Alright, so I have this long tail here, and what you're going to do is you're going to get a yarn needle. Now remember, I have not unpacked my stuff, so I'm just using this yarn needle, which I would not normally use with this. It's not the easiest. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, coming from the inside out, I'm just going to put the yarn through a few stitches, skip a few stitches. I don't want it in every single one because I want to be able to cinch it just like this until I'm back to about the beginning. And then I'm just going to pull tight so it cinches the top. See that? Alright, and then what I want to do is turn my mitten inside out. There we go. Now my mitten inside out, and I'm going to take this yarn needle and stick it up through the center so I can do the sewing on the wrong side. So I'm just going to the very top where I was, and I'm going to pop it through the center there and pull it out. There we go. And now I can just sew this up, weave in my tail at the top. Make sure I have it closed tightly. There we go. I'll go back one more time. There we go. And I'll cut that off. And turn it right side out again so we can take a look at it. And try on my mitten, and that fits perfectly. I'm really liking that. So there's my mitten. It's looking nice. Now we have to do the thumb. So I'm going to turn it inside out again to make the thumb. Okay, so now I'm inside out again, looking at the wrong side. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attach my yarn right before I get to the side. So somewhere up here. I'm just going to stick my hook in. Pull it through, and then I'm going to chain to fasten. There we go. All right, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my tail along the edge of the hole and just go right over it. So I'm just going into the stitches around the hole. Okay, laying this on top. This is my next stitch right here. that. And coming around to the next one. Probably made this tail a bit long. I'll end up just cutting that off. I think I'm going to cut it off right here. There we go. It's getting in my way. All right, and I'll continue around. Okay. All right, now I'm back to the beginning here. And just like I did the mitten, I'm going to keep going around and around, but I want to try it on and see how my thumb hole is. I may want to decrease it a little bit. So let me just take a look. Actually, that's pretty good. I don't know if I like that gap there. I think I may just do a decrease right here to round that off. So let me see. Yeah, I may just do something right in the corners here. So here's one corner, I'm just going to do a decrease right there. Go around to the other side. And I'm going to do a decrease right here as well. And then I'm going to try it on again. I do a lot of trying on just to make sure. Yeah, that feels really nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going around and around and around till I get to about here, and I have this much of my thumb sticking out where I'll start to decrease. So I'll meet you back once you have your thumb up to about there. As I'm starting to go up, I see here that I think this is a little wide for me. So again, I'm going to decrease twice, once on each side. I just wanted to show you that, so you just keep trying it on and making sure that you like the way it fits you. And here I am after the first decrease, which is fitting better, and I just have the top of my thumb sticking out, so now I'm going to start decreasing at a faster rate. I'm going to decrease every third stitch at this point. So let's try that. 1, 2, and then a decrease, go into one stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 3 on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And 1, 2, and a decrease again, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 3 on my hook, pull through all 3, and 1, pretty small, the hole there. So I want to try it on again. Perfect. Perfect length for my thumb. So what I'm going to do at this point is just do one more round. 1, 2, and a decrease. Now when you're doing your first mitten, write down your numbers. Then your second mitten, you can just make it exactly the same. Now I'm going to chain and pull through as if to chain, cut off a long tail so I can do that sewing. Okay. Now, put my needle. Okay, now I'm going to just come through from the inside out, a few stitches around, not next to each other, just so that I can cinch this shut, just like that. And now we're on the wrong side already, so I'm going to do my sewing here. And I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and sewn together. However you want to do that. Yeah, it's looking good. And then I'm going to just weave in my tail. I like to go through the center of a piece of yarn to weave in, and then back through. Okay, I'm going to cut it off. Now I can turn my mitten right side out. These are going to be so nice and warm. I'm so excited about these. It's been pretty cold here. Okay, let me put on my mitten and show you what I got here. And there we have our mitten. Look at that. Nice and warm. Love it. With the nice ribbing that you can tuck under your coat. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you make mittens. Nice and easy. Of course, you can change up the stitch if you like. Now that you have the basic idea of how to make a mitten, how to make the ribbing, how to make the mitten fit your hand, how to decrease in spots, you can do anything you like. You can make it your own. I would love to see the mittens you make. Remember, we have the show and tell series, and I'm going to start airing it hopefully every week. I've fallen a little bit off track with my move, but I'm starting to gain some momentum now. So send me pictures of your mittens. Tell me anything you'd like me to tell the community about them, what yarn you used, what hook size, what you found out about the process, what you learned, anything you'd like everybody to know. We're always interested in learning from each other. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments below. I will answer them as quickly as possible. You can also send me an email to my email address at franniesquare@gmail.com, which is where you would submit your pictures and descriptions for the show and tell. And I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I've gotten more on top of the comments and emails again. Okay, well, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. Remember to make it your own, and I'll see you soon.